So we have So I'm a Spider So What 1 to 12 and So I'm a Spider So What The Daily Lives of the Komoka Sisters 1 to 5. So this is the main series, it is up to date, and this is a spin-off 4-coma comedy which it might not be up to date anymore, 6 might be out. If you're interested in reading this, you probably need to get to about here-ish before you can, because literally the whole plot won't make sense otherwise. So this is an isekai where our character has been isekai'd as a spider, and they're in this dungeon, Dealeroonie, and they're trying to sort of initially figure out what's happening. Can they get out? What's happened? Their abilities, all stuff like that. And what's quite interesting is pretty much for a good chunk of the story so far, and I'm going to say some slight spoilers-ish or a bit later on, pretty much till a good way through, the only character we really interact with is the spider. And also, I don't think the spider has a name. I don't think they're really given a name. I did try looking it up, but there was like a fan name that I found, but not really an official name. I really have enjoyed this isekai because not only is like the main character a spider, and we kind of not really, there's no like booby harems or anything. It is just this spider trying to navigate this underground dungeon thing they're in. But it's very, very stat heavy in terms of like trying to earn XP and use moves and keep track of their HP and their MP and rested bonuses and all sorts of jazz like that. I really enjoy it. I would recommend it. It's a very, very slow release, one a year maybe-ish. And I've started to feel a little less fast, unfortunately, with some of the later volumes, which is a shame. But I really, really do love at least the first so many, quite a lot. There is a light novel, it is fairly longish. I heard somewhere it was ending, but I then didn't hear anything else about it. I'm not sure if that's still the case. It's been a bit tricky to find some of the earlier light novels, so Ben's not really read that far, but he's read the first one, and if I thought the stats were heavy in the manga, it is like 10 times heavier in the light novel. He has like pages of like all the skills and attributes that the spider learns with numbers and stuff, and yeah, it's excellent. Very do enjoy and recommend. And then yeah, this is a spin-off, it's a 4-coma surrounding characters that aren't really properly introduced till about here-ish, and it's just a bit of a silly light comedy. I think it's okay. I'm not sure if I'd enjoyed it as much if I didn't enjoy this, really. Then we have Sora and the House of Monsters 1, and this is a new release this year. This is up to date. I absolutely adored this series. It was probably one of my favourite series of the year. What I really, really loved about it is, let me go find one, these big like floor plan map house layouts. So basically it's about a group of dwarves who go around building idealistic homes for various types of monsters, and they build the homes to cater to their needs. And we get some really sick looking floor plans. Now personally, I don't know if this is weird or not, one of my favourite pastimes is going on to Rightmove and just looking at floor plans of houses and imagining where I'd put my manga shelves. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I do. When I say pastime, a few times a week, I just find it really fun and seeing what sort of houses are up in the area, or if I could like looking at house prices and stuff like that, which is silly because I have a mortgage and I can't be doing that. But anyway, it's still fun and I enjoy doing it. I love floor plans, like I absolutely love floor plans. One of the reasons I love open world video games the most, more than anything, is the maps. I love maps. Maps are like one of my favourite things ever. So having like floor plans, which is like a house map, this was such a good series for me. I absolutely loved it. As I said, it's about a group of dwarves who go around building houses. But this character, originally there was like a big war of humans versus monsters, and she's trained her whole life to fight monsters, and then just as she's about to enter the war, a truce is settled and the war is no longer happening and she's no longer needed to fight, and she's like, well, I don't know what to do with my life. And she basically ends up finding herself travelling along with this group of dwarves, building houses. I genuinely can't wait for the next volume. Where was this again? This is Solace in a Cage 1. I haven't read it. I picked it up on Sci-Fi because they do a deal on volume 1s where they're pretty cheap. So I grabbed it, but I haven't yet read it. And we have Solo Leveling 1 to 7, that is up to date. I find it interesting that they've swapped it over to the Ise Press imprint. I don't know if they do reprints of the other volumes, if they'll change it, So that does mismatch, which is interesting. I personally don't care enough, but some people might, in case you are bothered. Solo Leveling was my first ever manhwa, and at first I really struggled to read it because it genuinely had been a very long time since I'd read a comic that was left to right. Now I'm pretty good at it because I do read a whole lot of manhwa nowadays. I really enjoy Solo Leveling. Ben's got the light novel and has been reading it. I think, is it volume 4 or volume 5? Has excellent moments. It does like all the sort of like dramatic, actiony things, dark, broody, walk into a room like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up and I'm all powerful, and then everyone in the room's like, oh shit, what have we done? Absolutely love it. I'm not sure if I've really helped describe it. So it's not an isekai, it's just a fantasy where dungeons have started popping up all over the world. There's actually been a few of those, thinking back about it. And this guy is a bit shit. He's a very low level, I think they're called hunters, people who go into dungeons. He's very, very low level and not very good. And through a series of things that happen, he ends up getting pretty good and pretty OP and overpowered, and changes in terms of how he looks and fighting ability. And it's pretty sick. And volume 8 is out soonish and I can't wait. I really, really enjoy it. I do recommend it. So what's wrong with Getting Reborn as a Goblin 1 and 2? I'm not sure if that's up to date. I haven't actually read this yet. No particular reason. It is an isekai. I think I just forget it's there sometimes because it's like trapped between two big series. Then we have Something's Wrong With Us 1 to 17. I can't remember if I picked up 18. This series confused me because everywhere I looked had a different number at which it concluded at. I think the main story concludes at 16, and then we have a whole bunch of these like one-shot volumes that wrap it up. I don't know how many of those there are. There's at least an 18. I'm not sure if there's a 19. So the story mostly revolves around these two characters and a Japanese sweet store. And when I say Japanese sweets, I mean like elaborate. Do I have any pictures? Elaborate like Japanese tea time sweets, not mochi, bean stuff. Very elaborate, handcrafted, expensive sweets. Not just like penny sweets or anything. I'm not sure if there's an equivalent in the UK. I can't think. Like the sort of stuff you might have like tea and cake at the Ritz, maybe. That kind of sweets. Anywho, big murder mystery. So it all starts out when they're children. He is like the grandson of the owner of this sweet store, and her mother is a live-in worker. Her mother works there and makes sweets, and she's living there as her child. And they're very good friends, and through a series of unfortunate circumstances, her mother ends up in jail, and the child leaves. The girl leaves. And she's sort of been on the hunt for the truth, what really happened that day that caused her mother to go to jail, what happened. And years later, she ends up coming back to the sweet store to work herself, but is trying to hide her identity from everyone and just try to find the truth. The story's kind of split into two halves. We kind of get a time jump-ish in the middle, and I was less fussed about the first half, but really enjoyed the second half. I think I need to read the last two of the main series. This is definitely a series where I found reading a bunch together helped a lot. I really enjoyed reading a load together. I was reading them in like 3-volume clumps. Also, the sweets are so pretty. It's so much. Oh, they're just so pretty. I think I potentially would recommend, but it can be a bit pricey. Sometimes I see these pop up secondhand or in sale sections. Sorcerer King of Destruction and the Golem of the Barbarian Queen 1 and 2. I thought that might be up to date. And then I think 7 Seas do have a 3rd volume listed. I'm not sure if I'm up to date or behind or what. It is an isekai. It's not a very good isekai, in my opinion, about a guy who has been isekai'd, and I don't really actually remember. A ritual summons the Sorcerer King, who will bring ruin, but all it coughs up is an ordinary boy from Earth, stripped of his memories but endowed with unbelievable power. Our protagonist isn't keen on destroying the world. Fortunately, with his newfound power, results in the creation of an intimidating partner to keep him safe. Okay, so I vaguely remember he does start creating these golems, and he creates one, and I think he creates her, and they kind of start to go on an adventure. I don't believe too much more has happened after that. I've not read the 2nd volume. It was okay. It's okay. And we have Sotus Volume 1. I haven't read it. I am now behind, I believe at least 2 is out. I'm not sure if there's any more than that. Then we have Soul Eater, most random splattering of Soul Eater, 1 to 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. So I do have over half the volumes. I'm still like a good way off having a full run. I got some of these many years ago and then it started to get trickier to find, and because there was those fancy hardback versions that came out from, I want to say, Square Enix, I kind of assumed that this was just going to go out of print, but I do actually think it did get a reprint. It did get a reprint because I started seeing them pop up in store again, and I do see them about. A number of these have been bought secondhand. This one was a library copy, as you can see, and then yeah, some of these later ones were brand new. I don't like that it went dark. I assume there's a story reason that it went dark, then went back to white, and also there's like silvery sheen on the Soul Eater on this one. But I kind of liked, we had like these rainbow faces, and then it's just bleh. I didn't read very far in before I got blocked by volumes, so yeah. I know it's like a classic series and I do want to read it, and I'm trying to decide if I read it before I finish reading Fire Force. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll just see if I can collect any more this year and then go from there. SP Baby 1 and 2, that is a 2-volume series that is complete. It is a romance between a bodyguard and her person she's bodyguarding. So she's the bodyguard and he's the guy she's protecting. It's short, it's cute, it's sweet. It's not like hardcore. It's the same mangaka as my Happy Marriage? No, Happy Marriage with a question mark and an incurable case of love. There is Space Battleship Yamato, and I don't know, is this a one-shot? It's a volume of Ben's, and I'm not sure if he's read it. Springtime by the Window 1 and 2, and I think that is complete at 2 volumes. This is the series where I had the weird misprint, which turned out to actually be Way the House Husband, so I was a bit annoyed because I didn't have the volumes anymore, but mainly Manga, when we did a swap, he wasn't a fan of the series and very kindly swapped these with me. Yay! I haven't read it yet though. Then we have Spell of Desire 2 and 3, and I got these cheap. I find interesting is volume 3 is like plastic wrapped like it was plastic wrapped by the publisher, whereas volume 2 is plastic wrapped like it was plastic wrapped in store in a comic bag and it's sellotaped up. I believe it is a smutty series, but I only have 2 and 3. I think it's complete at 5, so at least it's not a long series. I hope it's not hard to find. Spice and Wolf 1 to 16, and that is complete. I managed to complete this year. Very happy because this had been a tricky series to pick up and find, and I did actually manage to find clear run. I can't believe it's plastic wrap though. I need to find out why it's plastic wrap once I start reading it. Some of these have been secondhand, some of these have been brand new. I think the last one I was missing was 14, and I ended up getting it for like £1.99 or something crazy. It is a very hyped, well-known series, and I absolutely love the spines. It's probably some of my favourite spines in my collection because I just love the colouring and font on the title for some reason, and I'm trying to get the lights to not shine on it so much, but I really love them and I don't know why, but I do really like them. And we have Spriggan 1, 2 and 4, and these are Ben's volumes. I actually managed to find volume 4 on sale for £9.99, which is very good because it RRPs at over £20, I think. I think he's enjoyed it, but he hasn't spoken much about it to me. We are missing volume 3, need to hunt that down, but since I paid £9.99 for that one, I don't really want to pay much more than that for volume 3. Next we have Splendid Work of a Monster Maid 1 to 5, and that is complete at 5 volumes. I very much like this series, I would recommend it. I do think the ending is a little rushed in my opinion, but I still enjoyed the story. I think the artwork is some of the prettiest artwork I've read in manga. Let me move this. It is so darn pretty. It is set in like this fantasy world where a selection of maids are trying to reclaim their master's power that's been stolen from him. But it's just so pretty with the sparkles. Look at that. Isn't that so nice? And that's just a random panel, that's not even like a fancy full page panel or anything. So fairly short as well at 5 volumes if you're interested. Sometimes they pop up secondhand as well. As we have Spider-Man Fake Red, which is a one-shot about a randomer who ends up with Spider-Man's, I think, costume. I can't remember if he gets his powers. I think it was okay. I wasn't too into it. I think it's one of the I think I just found myself getting a little bit bored, unfortunately. It was fine. It was okay. I already see it pop up secondhand fairly often if you are interested in more Western superhero manga crossovers though. There is Spy Classroom 1 and 2, and I do think I'm behind on that. It was okay, although I've only read the first volume, which I assume was a lot of setup, and I've not really gotten into the crux of the story, because it does seem to be a popular light novel from what I can see, about a group of, I was going to say students, children, who are being trained to be spies, I think. This is inadvertently like the Spy Family shelf, because there is a lot of Anya merch out there, and I keep acquiring it. Look at her little face! We have Spy Family 1 to 10, and also Eyes Only, which I think is like a fan guide. So the fan guide I actually got on World of Books like £5, which I'm very glad about because its RRP is $13.99. Oh. Anywho, Spy Family 1 to 10, that is up to date. I love Spy Family a lot. I know a lot of people nowadays are like, oh, it's got so much hype. But because Spy Family was a series that I picked up before I knew of the hype, I feel like I was able to form my own opinion and be quite happy with my opinion before I heard anything else. It's actually a series where many years ago, I think I was still in school or at uni, I saw a panel on Reddit or a page on Reddit, and I was like, this looks excellent, I want to try it. What do you mean it's not got an English print? And so when they announced it was getting an English print, I was already quite excited, and it doesn't happen very often. And that, I think, made it even better. I think it's a delightful series. I feel it's a series that you can recommend to anyone and everyone of any age. I would recommend, say, non-manga readers as well potentially would enjoy it, or watch it if they prefer that. Volume 10 was very sad though. It got me really down. Surprisingly down. Next up we have Starry Sky Volume 1. Honestly, I picked this up when I was in foils, because when I'm paying retail, I like to grab some really random series I never really heard of. And I didn't have anything from this publisher either. Unfortunately, when I got home, I learnt that this series is cancelled at 1 volume, or the publisher went bust, I can't remember. This is the only volume there is. I haven't read it yet because I got a bit annoyed. I hear it's a reverse harem, but that's the limit of my knowledge. And we have Starcross 1 and that is complete same manga as Kiss Him Not Me. In fact, there are actually quite a few little short follow-up, I was going to say chapters, but they're not quite chapters, panels, pages at the back of the volumes with what happened with the characters from Kiss Him Not Me later on. So if you're worried about spoilers for that series, be wary reading this one, or just skip those pages at the back of the volumes. It is about a girl who is really obsessed with this idol, and through a series of events they end up switching bodies and they're trying to just sort of figure out what's happening. I quite liked it, it's fun. I think it's a bit rushed at the end, unfortunately. It is only 4 volumes. I wish it had like another 1 or 2. The ending felt, personally for me, a bit sudden, random, out there, and then it just sort of turned into the end. Oh. As we have Star Seekers Volume 1, that is up to date, I think. I can't remember if this copy was sent to me by Yempress. Yempress did send me a copy. They sent me so much manhwa, it's beautiful. This is another series based on a K-pop group, if it can focus. Tomorrow, as I have said, I am not particularly in the idol sphere, so all of it is brand new and I don't know anything about it. Before I say anything about the story, can I just say, when I saw this cover, for some reason, I thought he was doing the splits. I didn't realise that was mountains. I thought he had his legs spread out. I was like, what a weird front cover. And then I saw the cover of Volume 2 and I think it's like the same thing except it's a different character, and I was like, is he also doing the splits? Oh, it's mountains. I think I understand now. So in this world, idols kind of have like superpowers, and their like stage performances involve using their powers to put on a show. And there's this group and none of them have powers, and because of that they're all sort of orchestrated a little bit, and then they kind of start gaining powers and then they use their powers to put on a fancy show. I actually did quite like it. I like my fantasy magic-ish, and it's kind of, I think, nicely blended into the real world. I think it kind of struggles with the same sort of thing that the other 2 idol manhwas did, in that because it's based on a idol group, a group of people, there was already an established set of characters and they're trying to introduce them all pretty quickly, because I mean this is the group of characters we're working with. There's no like slow introduction as other series might have. They want to try and get them all out into the story as quickly as they can. But as someone who doesn't know any of these people are, it can get a bit whiplashy, I think, as they're like, and here's another one, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. Did mostly still enjoy it because I like the fantasy and the magic stuff. It was pretty. So I do look forward to the next one. Okay, next we have the Star Wars section. So we have Legend of Skywalker, which is a one-shot. Phantom Menace Volume 1 by Dark Horse Comics, which that's not up to date, but it's very out of print. Edge of Balance 1 and 2, Edge of Balance Precedent, which is a one-shot. Guardian of the Vials, The Mandalorian, Lost Stars 1 and 3, and Princess of Alderaan 1 and 2. Right. I have read some of these. I think Ben's read them all. So I haven't read this one. I don't know. I assume it's set post OG series, post the originals. Originally, I believe Dark Horse did actually do a series of manga on the prequels, but that was a long time ago, I think, when it first came out in a galaxy far, far away. I picked it up not really knowing what it was, and I was like, let's see. Which is kind of neat, the spine's in Japanese. Then we have Edge of Balance, which is set during the High Republic, and I haven't read Precedents, but I've read these ones. What's quite neat is Ben's gotten really into his Star Wars light novels recently, this year, well 2023, he got really into it, and there's like a route of how you follow reading them, the different various novels. Actually, can I show you? They're over here somewhere. He has some up there, some of the High Republic novels, and I think there's some comics back behind it as well. So basically there is an order to read them, and there's like various comics, novels of which to read the story, and these are actually apparently included in like the order to read them, which is kind of neat. High Republic is set before any of the Star Wars movies. I quite like High Republic. I look forward to more stuff coming out of it. And we have Guardians of the Word I Can't Pronounce, and it's based on these two characters who were in Rogue One, kind of just a story of them together. It's okay. It was nice to see more background for them. Now we have The Mandalorian, which I assume is based on the show of the same name. I've watched all of the show, but I haven't read the volume yet. It's neat, it's volume 1, so there'll be some more. Then we have Lost Stars 1 and 3, and I got these both on sale. I am missing volume 2. I believe it's based during the Empire, but I don't know anything about it other than that. And Princess of Alderaan, this is up to date. Look how thin that volume is. That's so upsetting. It took like 2 years for that volume to come out. This is based on Princess Leia. Well, she is I was going to say teenager, but she's a teenager during the movies. As a younger teen, I guess. A tween, whatever they're called. I actually quite like it. I would potentially recommend, but also such a slow release, and I don't think there is any more out, even in Japan at the moment. So maybe we keep an eye on it and see how it does. Then we have Steins Gate, the complete manga, and Steins Gate 0, 1 to 3, and that is complete. Look how chunky all these are. So I think earlier when I was talking about robotics notes, I was like, I think I should read Steins Gate first. It's like, yeah, look at all this. I think almost all of these I've gotten second-hand. Ben might have bought one in store. This one I got second-hand pretty cheap, for sure. And volume 3 as well, I think paid like £4 or £5, crazy. They all look pretty good though, I'm still quite happy with that. You know, after all this, I still don't really know anything about Steins Gate other than something to do with time travel. That's the extent of my knowledge. A Stepmother's Marchant Volume 1. This is a manhwa, and I got Volume 2 for Christmas. This was actually quite an interesting read. I quite enjoyed it. It's very pretty, very, very pretty. It is about a young lady who has been married off, or marries into a family, which the dad already has a bunch of children. In fact, the oldest child is actually a fairly similar age to her. He's only a couple of years younger. At the beginning of the series, she has been a widow for a number of years and been in charge of the family, in a way, waiting for the eldest son to become of age. She isn't particularly liked by her stepchildren, unfortunately, and she kind of laments this reason because she put all her effort into trying to manage the family and didn't really focus on any sort of family, relationships, until she finds herself going back in time to the night of her husband's funeral a number of years ago, and now she is trying to work on building better relationships with her stepchildren before it goes to heck, and it's quite pleasant, and I do look forward to the second one. As we have A Story of Seven Lives, which is a complete omni volume. I heard it can be actually kind of a sad series about cats, and considering I'm a bit soft on my cats, as you can see them, Yuna is hiding. I didn't really want to get sad about cats, because I like my cats. Isn't that right, Mika? Alright, fine. I'll touch the one that doesn't care. Boop, boop. So it's one that I think I will get to, but I need to be in the right mind space before I do it. What even is she doing? Where did you get that? Strange Adventure of the Broke Mercenary 1 to 3. You know what? I haven't actually checked to see if another volume's come out. It's been a while. It's been a very hot minute. This is a fantasy. It's not an isekai. It's about a guy who's a broke mercenary, and he joins a job to go clear I think a goblin cave out or something, and it goes a bit wrong, and the only survivors are these two. And he ends up kind of having to try and help look after her, and then they end up getting stuck in this really weird dungeon, and they meet up with another group of people. We only get to see the pretty lady, we don't see the rest of the group. There's the rest of the group on the back of the volume, if I can put the camera right. And actually, I quite enjoyed it. It was quite interesting, it was quite good. It's just a shame that they don't seem to release volumes that quick. Usually every other fantasy or isekai series releases a volume like every other month, and then some of them are just like, it's every other month or 2 years, there's no in between. Then we have Stray Cat and Wolf Volume 1. I think I'm still up to date. I don't know if 2 is out. Yumpress sent me this volume. I hated it. This was one of my least favourite reads of 2023. I do not like the relationship between these two characters. I feel like he comes off as rather predatory, and she is a vulnerable youth that needs help, and he is taking advantage of that. Basically, she is from the country, the sticks. She has moved to Tokyo to get out, basically. She kind of faints in the middle of the street in front of this guy and, I don't know, girlfriend, partner, booty call, something like that. And they get spooked, and she's like, don't call an ambulance, don't call the doctor. So they end up taking her to his apartment, where she rests up, and yeah, she wakes up, and through a series of happenings she ends up kind of staying with him while she figures out her life and starts going to school and such. So I think she's a teen, she's like 15 or 16, and he's like in his early mid-20s at best, I think. He's a musician, yep, she's in school. She's being treated terribly by her family, no one seems to care for her. We don't really know why, I assume we'll get some more story reasons at some point. But she's not really had any form of, I'd say, familiar connections, friends, love. And this guy starts putting the moves on her. And she doesn't know what to feel, and I don't like that. I don't like that she's vulnerable and doesn't know what she's experiencing, and I feel like he's taking advantage of that, and I don't like it. But also, it's the same mangaka as Cheeky Brat, and it almost feels like a slightly more similar relationship. At least in Cheeky Brat, they're the same-ish age. I think there's like a year difference, but they're both in school. I think because he's now older, it feels worse. Anywho, next we have Strike the Blood 5 to 10. I got all of these for sale in Pinpoint Leads. It is complete a 10 volume, so I just need to get the early ones to complete it. Ben has got some of the light novels, but he's way off having any form of semblance of a straight run. Next we have Strobe Edge 1 to 10, and that is complete. I looked out a few years ago and found 3 to 10 in my Forbidden Planet, and I believe 6 is the tricky volume to find. I found 3 to 10 in my Forbidden Planet and just went for it. I was trying to be good on that day as well, and I was like, everyone talks so highly about this series and it's hard to find, I'm just going to grab it. And then I found 1 and 2 secondhand, like the next day, and then I had a clear run. I would say it's not my favourite Sakisaka series, but it's okay. I think I enjoyed it. It really irks me when they get together at the end of the series. After all of that, I want to see some more of them together. But I feel like a lot of high school romances are starting to head in that direction. They tend to get together nowadays partway through, and then we see the experience of them dating. I feel like it's less common for them to end on them dating nowadays. Strongest sage with the weakest crest. 1 to 8 and 11. I had been updated with this for a little bit and then I hadn't been reading it as much and I found a volume, I think in the sales section. Yep. It is not an isekai, it is just a reincarnation. He's reincarnated in the same world. Basically, he has been in this world, these crests determine how powerful you can be, and originally this guy had a fairly not that strong crest, and he sort of maxed his limit. He couldn't go any further, so what he decided to do was be reincarnated, because apparently I think you can just do that. And he's reincarnated with what is now the strongest crest. However, for some reason, in this timeline, however long it is in the future, that strongest crest is now determined to be the weakest crest. But it kind of seems like it's not because it actually is the weakest crest, it feels like people are hiding that it's actually the strongest one, for some reason. And also he has these girls that now follow him around. It's an interesting concept, the girls just make it a bit more weird. Studio apartment, good lighting, Angel included 1 and 2. I think I'm behind on this now. I love the title of this. It's just such a random title of a series. It's just reading it like it's an ad or something. I also think it's very, very pretty. She's a very pretty angel. And I think, yeah, look at her, isn't she nice? I should close the curtain. Basically, this guy wakes up and there's an angel that has landed in his apartment for some reason. And ultimately, by the end of Volume 1, it's turned into a supernatural harem, where a bunch of different types of supernatural ladies have all got an interest in him. And yeah, that's basically the plot so far. I'm not rushing to pick it up, as you can see as I'm behind. It's okay, it's okay. Succubus and Hitman Volume 1. I actually did vaguely enjoy this one. It's very gory, very, as you can see, a bit borderline smutty. It's a plastic wrapped. I think I enjoyed it because it was like, it's not good, but I liked some of the gory scenes, weirdly. I think they were fun to read. And he's basically, he's out for revenge. This guy, I think, was killed and he's been reincarnated in this guy's body. And he's pretending to live as this guy with his sister and such. But he's trying to find revenge for who killed his previous body and his family. And yeah, he's made a deal with this succubus to give him powers and such. It's not good, but I think I kind of enjoyed it. A lot of people don't like it and find it too gory and sexual. That's fine. I think I did. Sugar Apple Fairy Tale Volume 1. I am behind and I have not yet read it. People keep saying that's the sort of thing I'd probably enjoy, so I just need to get to it. The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 1. I know Volume 2 is out, but I've just not seen it for a good enough price, so not picked it up. I wasn't a fan, unfortunately. It wasn't my kind of thing, and I think I just found it a bit creepy, and I'm not a fan of creepy. I think, ultimately, because I keep saying I'm not big on horror, I don't like horror. I think creepy is even worse for me, and that's exactly what I felt reading this. I just wasn't that fussed. There is a lot of hype for the series, unfortunately, it's just not been for me. Summertime Rendering 1/6, that is complete. I opted for the paperback versions over the hardbacks because they're cheaper, and I generally do prefer paperbacks over hardbacks anyway. I have now read the first 3 and I have actually been quite enjoying it. It's about a strange mystery where this guy left this island, small community. He has left the island, he's coming back because his childhood friend has passed away. He's coming up for the funeral. Except there's some really weird, creepy things going on and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And yeah, it's really neat. I like it. I really, really need to wrap it up because I want to see how it concludes. Sunbeams in the Sky 1 and 2 I got through for Christmas and it completes 3 volumes. It's not a very long series. It's about It is about a pair of twins, one of which goes through something traumatic and can't bring herself to go to school anymore, and her twin sort of tries to get her to go to school in her place, so they kind of go to school as one person and sort of swap days, sort of do the Rooney. Except they have very different personalities and they kind of start drawing different guys depending on which one's the one in school. It was kind of cute. I liked Volume 1, I haven't read my Volume 2. Now that Volume 3 I'll read them together. I like that it's short. Next we have Sun Dummy Milky Way 1 to 6. I don't know if I'm up to date anymore. I I think this is a very gross series. I think it's appalling to women, and I know a lot of Ghost Ship, Faku, smut series are appalling to women, but I think this is probably one of the worst. The man in it is like awful, 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 and I did just slow down picking this up. I picked 5 and 6 up recently because they were £3 each, which is probably the upper limit I'm willing to pay for this series. Don't like it, wouldn't recommend. Super Heroes 35789, all bought in sale sections, as you can see. I've picked it up because it's a plastic wrapped, but I haven't read any of it because I'm missing early volumes. Super Mario Mania. I've talked a little bit briefly in regards to other video game manga earlier on. So Mario, this one is a one-shot. It is a random collection of chapters from the main series, which runs in Japan. It is a very long-running series in Japan. I want to say there's like 40 plus volumes, and as you can see under each one it says which video game in the Mario series it is based from. I was actually pretty gutted that this turned into only a one-shot and Kirby continued on, because I played so many of these Mario games compared to me playing none of the Kirby games. Super Mario Sunshine is just one of my favourite video games of all time, and I absolutely adore both the Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi series. So I was very, very sad that this is all we got, unfortunately. Maybe they'll bring it back one day, but I think it's potentially unlikely. Which is a shame. Super Morning Star Volume 1. I believe it's a BL. I haven't read my copy yet. Super Women in Love 2, 3, and 4 got in the sale section, but I haven't read because I'm missing Volume 1. I think it's a GL. That's the limit. Suppose a Kid in the Last Dungeon Boonies moved to the Starter Town 1 to 6. I think I got 1 or 2 of these this year second hand. It's a silly fantasy where a very overpowered guy moves to a starter town but doesn't think he's overpowered because he's very weak in his village, but in comparison to the starter town he's very overpowered. And it's very silly and amusing. I think some of the novelty wears off a little bit after the first couple of volumes, but it's still okay. I loved the first one, I just don't feel like it managed to keep hold of that for me going on, which is a shame. Survival in Another World with My Mistress 1 to 4. I think I might be behind on this now. This is an isekai. It is a Minecraft isekai. It's one of the many Minecraft isekai. I think it's actually one of the better Minecraft isekai because it is very, very much just Minecraft isekai with some smut. I actually really do quite enjoy it. I would recommend it if you're okay with some smut and like Minecraft, but it is smutty, but Minecrafty, and it's just weird and great. Next we have Sweat and Soap 1 to 11, and that is complete. I do like Sweat and Soap. I think it did dwindle a little bit for me. I feel it could have been, I almost wish what happened as a conclusion in volume 11 happened like here-ish, and then we had a few volumes of post that landmark milestone. I loved the first few volumes, I really did, and I think I caught up with when I got to volume 2. I think that's when I got up to date. I almost wish that but also I'm like, it kind of shows the progression and the development of the relationship. I don't know, I'm in mixed minds for it. I don't think ultimately, having gotten to the end, I've enjoyed it as much as a number of other people have in the community. I loved the ending, I did actually love the ending. I just wish we had a little bit more post the ending. But there were some of the moments that happened in volume 11 in the final volume I think were beautifully done and probably some of the nicest things I've read in manga. I stand by, I wish it either this had happened a bit earlier and we had a bit after, or it had happened a bit earlier and that was it. This bit ended up just being a little bit too long for me. Then we have Sweet Blue Flowers Volume 1. I picked it up second hand for £4. I haven't read it. That is not to date. I want to say there's like 5 volumes, but I'm not sure. Then we have Sweetness and Lightning 1 to 3 and 7. Not up to date. I think it's complete at like 12 volumes. It is about a single dad and his daughter and a lot about cooking, really. And it's quite cute. Next we hit Sword Art Online. So we have Sword Art Online Ironclad, which I believe is complete. Sword Art Online Fairy Dance 1 to 3. That might be complete. Project Alicization Volume 3 not complete. Hollow Realization 4 and 5 not complete. Caliber 1 shot. Mother's Rosary 1, not to date. Girls Ops 1, 2, and 8, not to date. And Sword Art Online Progressive 1 to 7. That is complete. Though there is now a Progressive with another subtitle that follows on, I think. That's different to this one. There is a lot of Sword Art Online series, and it gets a bit tricky to figure out the right order of them. Ben did a massive binge of the light novels over Christmas, to the point that he is almost up to date with reading the light novels, so I'm going to try and check with him which order I should then structure these on my shelves, because I'd quite like a chronological order, so I'll check with him. Apart from Progressive is an alternate telling of the Aincrad arc. This is the only one that I've read. I quite liked it, though there are some odd moments from the manga artist, who is apparently a very big filthy degenerate, as we find out in the back of one of the volumes. Actually, multiple of the volumes, yeah. These have almost all been bought secondhand, with a few of the Progressive being bought in a 3 for 2, but yeah, they're all pretty much sale copies, to be fair. Then we have, behind all of these damn plastic things, we have Syrup, a Yuri anthology. I think it's the second one. I actually picked this up to try and make up a 3 for 2. I haven't read it because I am missing the first one. I don't know what it's about, except probably Chihel. Taboo, Tattoo, 3, 4, 5, 10, and 13. I am missing still quite a lot. These have all been sale, secondhand, a dealeroonie. One of these I think I even got for like $1.99 on Blackwell's. I don't hear anyone talking about it, which probably isn't a great thing, or hopefully it'll be like a secret gem, is my hope. Sword of the Demon Hunter Volume 1. I haven't read this one. I actually slightly forgot I had it because it had fallen behind some other volumes, but I do want to try and get to it. Then we have Takane and Hana 1 to 9 and 10 to 18, and 18 is the limited edition version with the alternate cover of Takane, and also has this bonus set of stories. Personally, I actually wanted the not limited edition cover, damn it, but it was actually just tricky for me to track that one down. This one ended up being easier to track down, so I grabbed it. But I do actually prefer the big wedding dress. I think it's prettier, though it is also funny she's holding Takane. I think in terms of like comedy, romance, and age gaps, I think this is one of the ones I've been okay with. I feel like pretty much the entire story is kind of working towards they kind of have a relationship, and it starts off mostly as a friendship, and it sort of develops, and I feel like a lot of the story is addressing the age gap problems between the two of them, which makes me appreciate it more compared to series which just sort of try to gloss over it in its entirety. It is a fun series. I feel like make sure you know what you're getting into before you start reading it, especially since it's so long, but I like it. Next we have Tales of Berseria 1 and 2. That is one of Ben's series. I'm not sure if he's read it yet though. Next we have the Tale of the Outcast Volume 4, bought in sale section. I really want to read the series, it's been on my want to try list, so I'm just trying to track down the other volumes at the moment. Same with the Tale of the Secret Saint Volume 3, it's the only one I've got because it was in a sale section, but I really want to read this one as well. Tales of the Kingdom Volume 1, that is very behind, but I actually wasn't that keen on the volume. So much dust. What has not helped is, I don't know if this is going to sound, this is so random out of the Manga collection tour. As you can see, I have a nice brown door, a wooden door. This used to be white, and we had people come and take the doors away, strip them, and wax them. And as part of putting them back in, they had to sand the door frame. And obviously, there wasn't really much of a way for me to protect the shelves, and I do keep dusting them, and it just takes time to repeatedly dust to get rid of all of it, because I have already dusted these shelves twice. So anywho, if you're questioning why there seems to be so much dust on them, it's that. And also we had a wall knocked down when I didn't have doors, so the entire house got dusty. Hence why everything's dusty, and even though I keep dusting things, it's just going to take time to keep going at it and getting them clean. Anywho, back onto Tales of the Kingdom. It is sort of a series of one-shots. I wasn't a big fan. It's also quite pricey because it's hardback, so I'm not rushing to pick this series up. I'll wait to see it in sale sections. I've already seen Volume 1 in sale sections, so I'm just waiting for the others at this point. Tales of Wedding Rings 1 to 11. That is not quite up to date. I think 12 might be out. It's an isekai, it's a plastic wrapped isekai, it's a very big degenerate isekai. A guy follows his childhood friend through a portal, and it turns out she's about to get married, and he's like, I'm going to stop this wedding because I love you. And it turns out that because he's now done this, he is now needing to earn all of the wedding rings of all the princesses in the land to be able to become all powerful to fight the Demon King. So most of these volumes I think I've gotten on sale or second hand or 50% off, as you can see on one of those. One of my second hand ones has like a hole in it, unfortunately. I'm really that bothered. The spine's fine, it's a bit dirty, did try to clean it. Hey ho. Even these later ones though, which have been sale copies, look at that, $4.99, and it's like a $12.99 series or something. It's okay. I think you need to be into that kind of thing to enjoy it. Tales of Zestiria, Volume 3, another one for Ben. I don't think it's gotten to it because it's only Volume 3. Tamama-chan's A Fox, Volume 1. This is complete, don't remember how many volumes, but it's a complete series. I thought it was okay. It's like a slice of life. It's about a, what's the word? A statue of a fox at a shrine really wants to try going to school and living as a kid. So they do. For reasons, all the kids at school is able to see that actually they're a fox, but all the adults just see a normal kid. It's kind of neat, though there is a lot of references to Japanese culture and shrine culture, and there's a lot of like explanations in the spines and around the edges, and I really struggled to follow it because I was reading it at like 1 a.m. So I would not recommend reading this if you're sleepy. Tamon's B-Side Volume 1, I got 2 for Christmas as well. I like this series. It's another idol romance, and the premise is this guy is an idol and this girl is a big massive fan, and to make some money to buy merch she works as a cleaner basically, and she ends up covering someone and ends up trying to clean his house, his apartment or whatever. It turns out he's actually really socially awkward and very anxious and very self-deprecating and very awkward and not at all like his idol persona, and she's like in shock because he is perfect in her eyes and she's going to help him. So that's kind of where the name comes from. It's like his B-side is different to his A-side. I've just enjoyed my idol romances, I don't know why. Next we have Tarot Cafe 2 and 3, oh they're the wrong way around. Got them in the sales section, haven't read them yet because I don't have the first one. Very chunky, very chunky. Then we have Tatsuki Fujimoto Perforce Chainsaw Man. I say both, I'm going to call them both 1 and 2 because it's basically 1 and 2. And this is a series of sort of one-shots that the mangaka for Chainsaw Man, drew before Chainsaw Man. I've only read the first one. Personally, I wasn't actually a big fan, which I'm really worried about because I've read some of his other one-shots and I wasn't big on those either. I'm really worried about Chainsaw Man, to be honest. I don't know. There was one-shot I really liked, and then I just wasn't bothered about the rest. So I don't feel like I can give the one-shot I don't feel like I can give the volume a good, like, ranking just for one of many one-shots, unfortunately. Yeah, I think this is just me. Tear Moon Empire Volume 1, I have actually got and read Volume 2 as well. Yuna, have you come to interrupt again? Look at those paws. Look at those paws! You got dirty paws, where were you? Where have you been putting these dirty paws? Hold your paw. Okay, now we'll go back to the manga now. Okay, so Tear Moon Empire is another Back in Time series where she has done some terrible things-ish and is now facing execution, and at the last moment she wakes up and she's many years in the past as a child, and she's like, well, I'm going to do things differently this time. And I just really like those kind of things. This one, she's like, how is it different to other ones? I don't know. I think she's a bit younger. I like it. But it's another, she's now a nice person, everyone's very nice to her, and she doesn't quite realise the differences she's making in life now. I like it. I think even 3's out, but it's been too pricey when I've seen it. Next we have Team Phoenix Volume 1. This was very kindly given to me by Udon Entertainment, but I haven't read it yet. It does look neat, but I haven't read it yet. Then we have Teasing Master Takagi-san 1 to 9? Oh, I have a clear run. No, I don't have Volume 5. For some reason I thought I had more volumes than that. Okay. I got all of these on Sci-Fi actually for a pretty decent price. They were like less than £5 a volume, maybe even less than £4 a volume. It's a series I've just always been interested in because a lot of people speak highly about it, and I was just quite excited to be able to find it for a good price, and they're all pretty good condition. Very happy. Then we have Tagami Baki 1 to 20, and that is complete. I think the last volume I managed to track down was volume 10. I managed to get a good swathe in Forbidden Planet Leads at one point before it got a bit trickier to track down. Plus, I had some of the earlier volumes for a long time. Like, before I even went to uni, long time, and I got them for like £2 each. It's a very, very pretty series. I really want to try and go on and finish reading it. It's about a world covered in darkness, and there's this job where you deliver letters and you're called a letter bee. And it's, yeah, there's probably more to it, but I've just not gotten very far in yet. It is a bit trickier to track down nowadays, though I do keep seeing them pop up secondhand, and everyone seems to be finding them secondhand and such. The final volume down here is, and I always pronounce it wrong, Tenjo, 1, 2, 5, and 9. These have all been secondhand. Oh, hi cat. These are, oh my god! These have all been secondhand copies that I've got on like World of Books or Sci-Fi. Maybe I can use Yuna to dust the shelves. She just knows where I'm trying to film, doesn't she? She's doing this on purpose because she wants attention. Okay, so we have Tenjo, we can see it through the cat ears. All secondhand. It is complete, I think, at 11 volumes. Very tricky to track down. I'm quite surprised I managed to find some, to be fair. These, I think, I've only paid £6, £5 or less, to be fair. Pretty good condition. I don't know if I'll find more. I'll be happy if I do. I'd really like to try and pick up more series by Oh Great. They're just hard to find, unfortunately. Isn't that right, Yuna? Oh, do you know I've stopped filming? You're leaving now! Thank you so much for watching part 14 of the Manga Collection Talk. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in part 15.